Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Continuing reading in Srimad Bhagavatam, translated with commentaries by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. And this is Canto 5, Chapter 26, Text 8, and it is, Chapter 26 is Description of the Hellish Planets. So, any topics about Krishna are relishable, and they help us to appreciate the Lord, His energies, His glories, His personality, His pastimes, the potency of His name, His form. So, here we are, getting a tour of the hellish planets by the mercy of Sukadeva Goswami, as he's relating these descriptions and this information to Maharaj Parikshit on the bank of the Ganges about 5,000 years ago. But not much has changed. Actually, nothing has changed. The hellish planets are now as they were then. So, we heard about their location, and they are located below the three worlds. The three worlds are the upper, middle, and lower planetary systems. Below those three planetary systems is the Garbhodak Ocean, the causal ocean, where Mahavishnu is resting on Ananta Shesh. And there's the three different Vishnu expansions. They're all Vishnu, but they're expansions of the Lord 3 times out. So this is the causal ocean. That's what we were reading. And there's a space between the causal ocean and where the lowest of the lower planets is. Patala Loka is the lowest planet in the system, 3-world system. And between that lowest planet and the causal ocean, there's a space. And in that space, that's where the hellish planets are. And that is where Yamaraj resides. Now, he's residing on his own planet. It's the Pitri-loka planet, the planet of the forefathers, which is not a hellish planet. That's where Yamaraj is a empowered servant of the Lord, and he oversees this area, the activities and the management of these hellish planets, decides who has to go where to get what kind of reaction, what kind of punishment. It's actually punishment. And the purpose of the punishment is to try to rectify the consciousness of those living beings who have transgressed the system as it has been set up by the Lord. We were reading that the material world is an arrangement for the living entities who are rebellious, and try to exercise their independence from which is not possible to exercise because part and parcel of the Lord, but wanting to turn away from that and try to act independently from the Supreme Whole, Personality of Godhead, and try to chart out their own course. So an arrangement is there as material energy, material worlds. But there are laws that govern the workings of the material nature. The three modes of material nature are there, and there are stringent laws. There's actions and reactions, and there's prescribed activities and activities which are forbidden. So when the jivas who come to this material world because of that desire to be independent, which is different from being individual. Individuality is always there, but to try to be independent causes a problem. So the jiva souls, there's prescribed activities. There's karma, vikarma, and akarma. So activities as prescribed by the Lord to act in a certain way, which is usually in the mode of goodness, there's less reactions, there's less karmic reactions, and the Lord is actually pleased by that. When a living entity tries to follow the rules and regulations, even though they may have not that love and desire for devotion to the Lord, still they're following rules and regulations. So that's a good platform to be on, and the reactions are less. And there are even rewards. Heavenly planets get to go to heavenly planets like this. But when the living entities go against, either through complete ignorance or just, there were 3 levels of deviation. One was total ignorance, and the other was not knowing right from wrong, and the other was to atheistically and defiantly make the wrong decision on purpose, to know what the right thing to do is, but to go against it spitefully. Those get the worst reactions, those who are inimical like that, and envious and angry like that. They know the right thing, but they do the wrong thing. They get the worst reactions. So those are the hellish planets are there to try to, they have to get some punishment for that, to try to get them back at least to following the rules and regulations of the material world. Going against the natural order of things. There's the demoniac mentality. So the hellish planets are there, and there are punishments. And the effort is to try to get them out of those lower modes of ignorance, at least get up into the higher modes. Goodness and pious activity, there's an opportunity to hear and make some connection with devotional service. Of course, Lord Chaitanya's appearance cuts across everything. We were just considering that last time we were reading, how Jaghai and Madhai, Nityananda and Lord Chaitanya delivered them. They deserve to go to these hellish planets and to suffer incredibly for an incredible number of, for a very long time, for all the sinful activity they've done, spitefully, knowingly and spitefully. They were the worst, on the worst level of demonic mentality. And Lord Nityananda made it a point to deliver them, to show the extraordinary mercy of Lord Chaitanya, that he's come. Lord Chaitanya and his Sankirtan movement is here to deliver the most sinful. That we don't have time to try to go up through the modes, get into the mode of goodness, perform the pious activities, although that's very desirable, and those that can do it, they have the responsibility to do it. But in the Kali Yuga, people are stuck in the lower modes and doing most abominable, defiant, rebellious, demonic activities. completely crazy madmen. So Lord Chaitanya, the power of his holy name, Sankirtan, Prasadam, and beautiful deities and wonderful devotees trying to serve nicely, is come to deliver everyone, take everyone home. All the demons, all the jug-eyes and mud-eyes. So the demigods and the controllers on these other planets, like Yamaraj, they're seeing this going on, and they're just overwhelmed in ecstasy to see the great mercy of Lord Krishna in his appearance as Krishna Chaitanya. Brahma, Shiva, Narada, they're all dancing in ecstasy to see how the Lord is doing this. He can just reach right in and just do it. I mean, yogis, ordinary jiva souls, they can develop great yogic powers, and one of them is they can reach in and take whatever they want from anywhere in the universe. This yogic mystic city can be done. And so the Lord, he's the greatest of all yogis, the greatest of all mystics. He's reaching into the material world, the bottom of the barrel, and scooping everyone out. So meanwhile, this is about the hellish planets, where pretty much a great number of people are headed here, unless they get the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. This is where they're going. So I know I was headed for a few of these planets, if not all of them. But that's been changed. So we'll go to text 8. My dear king, so this is Sukadeva Goswami speaking. My dear king, a person who appropriates another's legitimate wife, children, or money is arrested at the time of death by the fierce Yamadutas, who bind him with a rope of time and forcibly throw him into the hellish planet known as Tamisra. On this very dark planet, the sinful man is chastised by the Yamadutas, who beat and rebuke him. He's starved, he's given no water to drink. Thus, the wrathful assistants of Yamaraj cause him severe suffering. Sometimes he faints from their chastisement. So, you might get away with things in the lifetime, but then there is a reaction. And they leave the body, they're taken by the agents of Yamaraj from the lower hellish planets, and they get punished. This is very severe punishment, very miserable condition. Text 9. The destiny of a person who slyly cheats another man and enjoys his wife and children is the hell known as Andhatamisra. There his condition is exactly like that of a tree being chopped at its roots. Even before reaching Andhatamisra, the sinful living being is subjected to various extreme miseries. These afflictions are so severe, he loses his intelligence and sight. It is for this reason that learned sages call this hell Andhatamisra. Okay, so you get the picture there, like a tree being chopped at its roots. Tree being chopped at its roots. How miserable is that? The poor thing's trying to grow, and it's being separated from its roots. Chop, 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 chopping the tree down. Even before reaching Andhatamisra, he's subjected to various extreme miseries. So even while on the way to this planet, loses his intelligence and sight, can't see anything. So that's someone who cheats another man and enjoys his wife and children. Text 10. A person who accepts his body as his self works very hard day and night for money to maintain his own body and the bodies of his wife and children. While working to maintain himself and his family, he may commit violence against other living entities. Such a person is forced to give up his body and his family at the time of death, when he suffers the reaction for his envy of other creatures by being thrown into the hell called Rorava. Yeah, so without Krishna consciousness, this happens. It's nothing, working hard is not discounted. I mean, a person accepts his body as itself, may work very hard day and night for money to maintain his body and the bodies of his wife and children. Okay, so what's wrong with that? In one sense, everyone has to do some sort of work, and they have to maintain themselves, and if they have family, they have to maintain their wives and children. It's just the way it is in the material situation. But if he commits violence against other living entities while he's doing this, then there's a reaction. And it said that this violence comes from the envy of other creatures. Envious of other creatures. He commits violence against them to try to enhance his own situation. He'll be violent toward others. So this is a problem, and there's a reaction for that, and it's spending time on a planet called Rorava. Prabhupada's commentary. Srimad Bhagavatam, it's said, one who accepts this bodily bag of three elements, bile, mucus, and air, as his self, who has an affinity for an intimate relationship with wife and children, who considers this land worshipful, takes bath in the waters of the holy places of pilgrimage, but never takes advantage of those persons who are in actual knowledge, is no better than an ass or a cow. There are two classes of men absorbed in the material concept of life. Out of ignorance, a man in the first class thinks his body to be his self, and therefore he is certainly like an animal, sa eva gokara. The person in the second class, however, not only thinks his material body to be his self, but also commits all kinds of sinful activities to maintain his body. He cheats everyone to acquire money for his family and himself, and he becomes envious of others without reason. Such a person is thrown into the hell known as Rorava. If one simply considers his body to be his self, as do the animals, he's not very sinful. However, if one needlessly commits sins to maintain his body, he's put into the hell called Rorava. This is the opinion of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Although animals are certainly in the bodily concept of life, they do not commit any sins to maintain their bodies, mates, or offspring. Therefore, animals do not go to hell. However, when a human being acts enviously and cheats others to maintain his body, he is put into a hellish condition. It's that enviousness. Yeah. Needlessly cause pain and suffering to other living entities. The tendency is there. It's unnecessary. Sometimes, we see that just with some little insect that wandered into the house. And with great ferocity, the person will stamp it out or smash it. Poor thing, it wandered in. I just help it wander out. It doesn't have to be, with enviousness or disgust at seeing another living entity. That's just an insect. What about birds and animals? or other human beings, to cause them pain and suffering, as they're wandering around trying to maintain their bodies in this material world. Sometimes paths cross, or someone gets in your way. You feel threatened by them. All of a sudden becomes an enemy. They're in my way. I have to destroy them. So these mistakes are made. And by acting like that, this is like Prabhupada says, it's one thing that if somebody is just dumb like an animal, they think they're their body, that's one thing. But if they have this enviousness about them, this unnecessary aggression toward other living entities, and then that's a reaction for that. It's a stronger reaction. The other one is sinful also, the one that acts like the dumb animal. They're sinful too, they got a reaction coming, but it's not as severe as if somebody has this aggressive, envious kind of maliciousness about them. So, because why? Because that's actually directed toward Krishna. It's like what was discussed earlier, the three types of living entities who have to experience these hellish planets. The one is the one who's just ignorant. That's like the dumb animal. And the other is the one who doesn't know right from wrong, and they make the wrong decisions. But the worst kind is this malicious type, the malicious. Why? Because it's directed toward the living entities, which means it's ultimately directed toward Krishna, or God. Directed toward the source. So it's a way to try to kill Krishna. You kill the other living entities, it's like trying to kill Krishna out of maliciousness or envy or whatever. Sometimes killing is there, like we know, Bhagavad Gita, battlefield Kurukshetra. Sometimes there is some killing that goes on under the direction of Krishna. It's a different matter. But when someone is simply trying to bolster up their own position, they unnecessarily cause pain, suffering, or even killing other living entities unnecessarily, then there's a very big reaction. So, what to speak about, like the cows? It's unnecessary. All the slaughter that's going on is totally unnecessary. That's out of enviousness, and definitely out of enviousness of God and God's laws and rules and the way nature works. All the contrived industrialization is a way to defy God. It's like making a mechanical monster. It's a mechanical Frankenstein, industrialized endeavors around the world. It's like a mechanical Frankenstein. So, cow protection is desired to protect the animals. It's very lazy. It's very, very lazy to just raise these animals to be slaughtered. Very, very lazy. And also, the cooking and eating is not even considered food for a human being, but it's very lazy. You just throw some piece of flesh on the pan, heat it for 2 minutes on one side, turn it over 2 minutes on the other side, and your dinner's ready. very lazy, very lazy, at the expense of causing all this pain and suffering to other living entities. So we know there's a huge price to pay for this. Huge price. So that's why the hellish planets are there. It's not just for the joy of sadistically punishing. No, it's to try to rectify mentality, try to bring up to a higher capacity of, if you do this, then you're going to get this. So that means the powers that be, the Supreme Being, doesn't want you to do this. You can do it, but you're not supposed to do it. So it's not in your best interest, it's not in the best interest of all the other living entities, and it does not please God, of whom you are a part and parcel. So trying to change the mentality to come up to a little higher mode of goodness, mode of passion, to get a higher taste of something higher. Of course, the highest taste is devotional service. But on the way, there are different levels of advancement. Why? Well, you might not like it, but there is a supreme controller. There is someone who owns everything, and who everyone and everything is a part of them, is an emanation from them. We're all his energy. You may not like it, but it's the case. That's the way it is. And when we don't recognize that and we go against it, either ignorantly or being uninformed of the right thing to do, or defiantly, then it's a reaction. Look, fire burns, okay? Put your hand in the fire, it's going to get burned. You may not like that, right? I may not like that, but it's what it is. So science mentality would be, well, let's make an asbestos glove. Then you can put your hand in the fire and it won't get burnt. Ha ha ha. It's called being in denial. That's not acknowledging the truth. The truth is fire burns. So material nature is like that. Do a certain thing, there's a reaction for it. There's a reaction. Put your hand in the fire, it gets burned. Never mind asbestos glove. That's just getting set up for further reactions. In other words, develop the mentality, well, there's a way to get around these things. And then you've got your whole scientific endeavor. There's a way to ward off these things. There's a way to conquer nature. We can conquer nature. Make an asbestos glove. You put your hand in the fire. You can make scientifically come up with these different ways to counter the material energies, forces. You just get set up. It's like a thief. A person develops a thief mentality. They get away with stealing some little thing. And they don't get caught. A candy bar at the store. A little kid steals a candy bar at the store. He gets away with it. Oh, this works. Then they develop, that thief mentality, and it may go on to more and more things. Getting around the law. It's the mentality of the thief. And then one day they go way out on the limb, they try to rob, say, a bank or a big store or something, and then they get caught. But what happened was they developed that mentality. So science is like that. I make that asbestos glove, put your hand in the fire, it doesn't get burnt. Oh, there's a way to conquer nature. We can use our intelligence. Eventually we'll conquer death. We can make these artificial joints, we can do knee replacement, we can do these different bodily parts, we can transplant, we can do all these things. Yeah, there's a way. We just keep working on it. There's a way that we are going to be able to conquer nature. Nature won't be able to throw anything at us that we can't deal with, because we have this ability to steal, to cheat. And it just keeps, they develop that mentality, a whole culture, a whole society, the whole planet. It's like the kid that got away stealing the candy bar. It works. Wow. This is a valid approach to life. It works. You just take it, you get clever about it, you steal it. It works. And then the whole human society becomes spoiled, this mentality.